I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil.
I remember I was only 13 when I met the demon. Gave me a deuce and a bundle of cocaine. Told me to sell to my people, make sure you keep them fiending. If any try to show you, make sure that you leave them leaking. He said,
I'ma hold you down when problems pop up.
how you got me moving this dope? Want me in lockup? He said,
Don't you want the Benz vertible with the top cup?
Yeah.
Stop bitching, get in that kitchen, let it rock up. Bitches love the dope boy, especially when it's wop up. I know you know Ron.
who the plug from by the block up?
I'll tell you a little secret, make sure that you keep your mouth shut. Ron got a Lexus, crib in Philly and Texas. Trips to the Bahamas, just got a whip for his mama. He fucking up them commas, be honest, he seeing decent dope.
I hear you, but I just seen Ron about a week ago. In fact, he ain't looking too good. His knees is kinda slow. I asked him why the struggle. He got stuck up for his bundle, but them 6 hollow tips in his legs what made him crumble.
Bitch, he got a house and mama is living good.
Said the feds took it all. He right back in the hood. I see you try to play me. You gave us crack in the 80s. Made us abort our babies and making hoes out our ladies. I know you got me gravy, but Satan, you must be crazy. It's gonna take more than them cars when to amaze me. I seen niggas shoot for the stars, but being lazy. Never get their head at the clouds, so you don't faze me.
I guarantee that you gon' regret it. Remember I said it.
Nah, you could dead it.
What you saying? I can't win?
Nah, devil, nice try. So until we meet again,
I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. I ain't religious or superstitious, but we been getting fucked and put to the side like a mistress. Police patrolling why? Because prison became a business. They murder one of ours and they start talking about forgiveness. We think that it's alright because we got public assistance. If this ain't hell, dog, what is this? Where was all lives mattered when they killed Osama? There was no peace talk like the Dalai Lama. Bush dropping bombs saying he gon' bring the drama. They got justice, man, they even caught the Boston bomber. But when we riot, they send the military and armor. When we fight oppression, then our people die a martyr. You reap what you sow, some people call it karma. When Christ return, y'all gon' get this harvest like a farmer. Don't tell me don't bring up the past no more. They still trying to settle the score with a side of Shakur. I changed my life and I'm just trying to live life right. But at night I look behind me and see flashing lights, patting me down. You got nothing that's poking me right. I don't smoke or push pills, I gave up my vice. So Mr. Officer, why you wanna take my life? And your honor, why you gave our homeboy's life? I've been wondering why you shot our homeboy twice. Pussy with a gun screaming out that he got a knife. He came from Habibi's spot, it was chicken and rice. Shit's trife, I'm just giving visuals like Skype. Ask Trayvon, Mike Brown, Akai Gurley, Eric Garner, Sean Bell, Philando, Alton Sterling, Jaquan McDonald. The white man is so devilish. Ask Hammurabi, he'll tell you who the devil is. The white man is so devilish. Ask Hammurabi, he'll tell you who the devil is. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. We fell for the lies of the devil. When we got high was the devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. I ain't have to die to meet the devil. Angels fell and landed in the ghetto. The earth was given to the hands of devils. Then we seen the rise of the devil. I pray for the demise of the devil. Lord knows I despise every devil. I looked into the eyes of the devil and said, I pray you die, every devil.
Hey, Shalom Israel, you live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Soccer War holding down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. You brothers and sisters tuning in, if you got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Since 1969, we have been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2025, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on this earth. So what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters an opportunity to go into this book called the Bible, to gain the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Most High has placed inside this book, so that we can come back to being the people that He called us to be, and to reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. With that being said, I'd like to start the class off with questions. If any brothers or sisters online have any questions, all you gotta do is type them in. If any brothers or sisters in the classroom have any questions, all you gotta do is raise your hand, and I will call on you. Any and all questions are welcome. If there are no questions, then we're gonna go ahead and get into tonight's topic. What you see is nothing is promised. All right, nothing is promised. And the inspiration for tonight's class comes from I'm gonna say an epiphany, but there's a reality that has been setting in for me for quite some time, being in the truth, but having come in contact, with a lot more people that are in the world. Really, I don't know, the last few years. And it's a thing that people have in the world that I haven't really understood ever, especially not since I've come into the truth. And it's sort of like a sense of entitlement. It's a sense of being owed something, or just knowing that something is going to happen because of you think about it so much, or because you believe in it so much. And there's a lot of lies and propaganda that's being pushed on God's people that is causing us to believe in the delusion, causing us to live a life that is not worthy of the blessings and the mercies and the promises that God made to His people. You understand? Um, the Bible is very black and white. The Bible's full of a ton of knowledge and a ton of wisdom. There's a lot that can be gained from reading the Bible and from understanding it. Unfortunately, for most of our people, reading the Bible has never been something that was a priority. You understand? Many years before I came into the truth, growing up, being raised Christian, and in my short time of diving into the church before I found the truth, you get taught about God. You get taught about Jesus. You get taught about, having faith and trusting in God and believing. And you get taught to, uh, wait on God's, promise, wait on the Lord to answer your prayers. You get taught to, put things in God's hands and trust that He's going to come through. But very rarely outside of the ISUPK are people taught to really read the Bible to understand the true nature of God. Very rarely outside the ISUPK are people taught to read the Bible to get in tune with the reality of the power that we serve. All the time when we argue with people who are outside the ISUPK and we tell them about what we believe and about the laws that we keep and the rules that God established for His people, a lot of the times when we argue with Christians and we argue with these people who say that they believe in the Bible and they believe in Jesus, the reality that quickly sets in is that what people are being taught to believe in the church is not what is being shown to be true in the Bible. The God of the Bible and the God of Christianity are not the same God. The Jesus in the Bible and Jesus in Christianity is not the same Jesus. Faith in the Bible and faith in Christianity are not the same faith. Salvation in the Bible and salvation in Christianity are not the same salvation. The promises of God in the Bible and the promises of God in Christianity are not the same promises. And you can take that and apply it to every religion, every belief system that is out there on the earth. The God of the Bible and whatever's being taught by Islam, by Christianity, by the atheists, by Seventh Day Adventists, by Baptists, Episcopalians, and Methodists, and whatever you may think to believe in, it's not the Bible. You understand? The God of the Bible never made any promises to anybody beyond the promises that he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the promises, let's get what is the promise that God made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's just see what is the truth about God's promise in the Bible. Let's get it. All right. All right, let's get Genesis chapter 17. Let's get Genesis chapter 17. We're going to start at verse 1. And let's read on. Hold on. And I want to read the whole Genesis 17th chapter. All right, let's get Genesis chapter 17. We're going to start at verse 1. All right. Again, the title of tonight's class is Nothing is Promised. Because in Christianity, our people are being taught that God's promise was for them to prosper and to live amazing and delicious and have riches and wealth and anything that they imagine. If they claim it in the name of Jesus, they can have it. And if they, watch what they say out of their mouths, because the power of the tongue is that whatever they say or they speak, and it makes it a reality and brings it into existence. And it's gotten our people to the point where the superstition of Christianity is so strong that God's people don't want to face the reality of their lives. We don't want to face the reality of the situation that we're in. We don't want to face the reality of the times that we're in. We don't want to deal with the reality that all of these promises and all of these things that we were taught about God in church just aren't true. And so if the things that we have been taught aren't true and they aren't bearing fruit and we aren't able to witness all of these promises that we were told we were going to receive, then where do you go to find out about God? Where do you go to learn the truth? Where do you go to correct all of the mistakes that you've been making because you've been living your life based on false information that you received? You got to get into the Bible, man. You got to open the Bible up and read it and find out, what does it actually say about God? What does it actually say about the promises? What does it actually say about how I'm supposed to be living my life? What should my expectations from life be? If I do the best that I can and become the best person that I possibly can be, what is the reward that I can expect to receive? There's nowhere in the Bible where it says that if you obey God and serve Him, that riches and wealth are going to fall abundantly out of the sky. There's nowhere in the Bible that it's promised that if you a woman and you just pray hard and you work hard, that God is going to send you a man and he'll love you and only you and take care of you and your children that you had with another man. There's no promise in the Bible that if you come into the truth and you serve God and obey him, that he's going to give you 2 and 3 wives and they won't argue with you and they won't fight and you'll just have wonderful sex with beautiful women and live a peaceful life. There's no promise in the Bible that if you obey God and do everything he said to do, that there won't be an oppressor on the earth that is here to try you and to torment you and to do all manner of evil, wicked things to really see if you serious about serving and obeying God. There are no promises from God that anything is going to happen in your life. The promise that God made is that if Abraham's seed obeyed him, that he would make them a great nation, that he would multiply them, that he would protect them and watch over them. Now, what does that mean for each of us as individuals in our own lives? It doesn't mean that you're going to have a wonderful life. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be fine all the time and you're never going to have to stress and never going to have to worry. You read the Bible, you read about the people who were under God's covenant, the people who obeyed God, they didn't have a wonderful life. Everything didn't go good for them all the time. They struggled and they suffered and they were oppressed, and many times they were broken and in hunger and in thirst and in jail and in prisons. But it was their trust and their standing on God's covenant and obeying his word that caused them to get deliverance, that caused them to be at peace. And right now we have all of the conditions of the suffering and the plagues and the punishments from God with none of the comfort and none of the peace, because we don't even have the knowledge that the way that we get ourselves right in the midst of our dark times is by obeying God. Genesis chapter 17, verse 1. It says, and when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect. The Most High came to Abraham at 99 years old and said, I'm the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect. At 99 years old, God appeared to Abraham and said, be perfect. Abraham hadn't lived the perfect life. Abraham hadn't done everything that God said for a person to do. You, at whatever age you are, you find out that Christianity is a lie. You find out that all the things you was taught in church weren't true. And you find out that all the things your grandma believed and your mother believed and the way that you were raised, those things aren't real according to the Bible. You shouldn't be so prideful as to reject God. You shouldn't be so prideful as to say, well, to hell with, because you find out your religion is a lie, you just say to hell with God. You throw God away and throw the Bible away. You'll never even face the correction that you need, because when your belief in Christianity is destroyed, you'll throw the Bible away too. The Lord came to Abraham after he lived a long life on the earth. And the Lord said to Abraham, walk before me and be thou perfect. Let me keep reading. Verse 2, and I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abraham fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shalt thou name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee, in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. Everybody understands? God said to Abraham, I'm going to make you the father of many nations. And I'm going to bless your children, and they're going to be blessed, and I'm going to be their God, and I'm going to make kings come out of you. I'm going to make nations come out of you. Nowhere in this covenant that God made with Abraham did God say you would never suffer. there would never be any pain. There would never be any heartache. There would never be any stress. That every day is going to be a wonderful day. That you're going to get all the riches and the wealth and all the money in the world, and you're never going to have any problems and nothing to worry about. That prosperity doctrine that they've been teaching in the church is a lie, man. And it has nothing to do with God and his promise and his covenant. Furthermore, the promise that God made with Abraham was based on us obeying God and following him. You understand? A covenant is an agreement made between two parties. In order for there to be an agreement between two parties, both sides have to agree to do something. God said to Abraham, I'm going to make you fruitful, the father of many nations, and I'm going to multiply you, and I'm going to bless you and your seed that comes after you. What later on did God come to the seed of Abraham and tell them that they had to do? Let's get it. Give me hold up. Hold on. Bear with me. Give me Exodus chapter 6. Let's get Exodus chapter 6. Get Exodus chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 2. Exodus chapter 6, starting at verse 2. Oftentimes we go through things in life, and in the midst of our troubles, in the midst of our sorrow, in the midst of our struggles, sometimes we ask ourselves, why me? And we get so down on ourselves, and life can be hard, man. Life is not easy. It's not written anywhere that life would be easy and that you were going to have it, everything was going to be smooth sailing. It's not written anywhere that life is fair, or that, everything is balanced, or that, things are always going to be on the good side. Life, the reality of life is life is short and evil. That's what the Bible says. Life is short and full of evil. All you can pray for is that the Lord will lead and guide you through this short and evil life. Guide you into resisting temptation, guide you into fleeing evil, guide you into being freed from the oppression that so many succumb to. But there is no promise that life would be anything other than what it is, which is an opportunity for you to prove your loyalty and your dedication and your service to the Most High who has given you life. Anything beyond that, Lord be with you. But that is not what that reality is not what is being expounded in church. That reality is not what is being taught to our children. And if we don't teach it to our children, then they won't be able to teach it to their children. And right now, the failure of church and the black community is there is a present generation of black people who are fully entitled and believe that they are owed something that they are not. They are looking to receive something from life that life does not have to give them, that life never promised them that they would have. And it is because of the failures of religion that our people don't know the truth about God, don't know the truth about life, and don't know the truth about the nature of the struggle of life. Nothing has ever been promised to any of us. The only promise is that being God's people, if we obey the Lord, he'll be our God. And being our God means that what? We'll have an opportunity to live a good life. But living a good life does not mean there won't be downtimes. Does that mean there won't be bad days? Does that mean there won't be any suffering? Let's keep reading. This is Exodus chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 2. It says, and God spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am the Lord. Right? You read that in Hebrew, it says, I am Yahweh. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty. When the Most High appeared before Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he referred to himself as God Almighty, or the Most High Power. Everybody understands. But by my name Yahweh was I not known to them. He never gave them his name. He gave them what they needed, which is I'm the Most High Power. He never told them his name Yahweh. Verse 4, and I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groanings of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am Yahweh, and I will bring you out from under the Egyptians, from out under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgments. And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a God. And ye shall know that I am the Most High your power, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you into the land concerning the which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And I will give it to you for an heritage. I am Yahweh. This is the Most High's promise. The promise he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was that I would greatly multiply your seed. And I will be with them and one day make them a great nation, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Everybody understands? This is the promise that was made by God. Nowhere else in the Bible, New Testament, Old Testament, are you going to find any promises from God pertaining to your personal life, pertaining to you never having to suffer, pertaining to life being fair and equal, pertaining to nothing bad ever happening. That reality just isn't in the Bible. The belief that obeying God and believing in God means everything good and wonderful is going to come into your life is not real. That is not true. You understand? Get Matthew chapter 6, verse 11. Let's go to Christ in the New Testament. Christ is the greatest among us, right? Christ is the Son of the Most High. He came here from the Most High to be an example to us, right? So if anybody knows God or understands life and the nature of life, it would be Christ. Let's see what Christ taught us about life and about what we could learn to expect out of life. See if Christ, when he taught us to turn to God and to pray to God, if he taught about prosperity, if he taught about everything wonderful happening in your life, if he taught about, living some easy, sweet, wonderful life where everything goes your way. Again, the Jesus of the Bible and the Jesus of Christianity are not the same. You understand? This is Matthew chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 11. Let's hold up. Let's go up further. Let's go Matthew chapter 6, verse 5. All right? Start at Matthew 6 and 5. Christ said this, and when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Who is Christ talking about? He's talking about your pastor. He's talking about those people who stand up in church and give such a great prayer, pray such an amazing prayer that everybody in the church is feeling emotional and crying and thanking God. Christ said, "Don't be like that." He's talking about the Muslims who make it a public show to bow down on their rug and to pray 5 times a day facing the east and to make sure that everybody sees them get down on their knees and say their prayers. Christ said, "Don't be like them. They are hypocrites, and guess what? They have their reward." Imagine that. Imagine Christ saying that the people that stand up in front of everybody and give an amazing prayer, they are hypocrites. That is as powerful a statement today in 2025 as it was in the year 50. You understand? Like Christ absolutely understood the spirit of somebody who portrays that they are of God, but shows you that they believe in God, but they do nothing that God says to do. And it is still true today. And don't think it stops with the Christians and the Muslims. This goes to those Buddhist monks praying in those temples and meditating 20 hours out of the goddamn day, sitting in solitude, where everybody gets, people go study the Tibetan monks and all of that. They study the damn East Indians that worship Krishna, that don't bathe for 20 years at a time. Christ is talking about all of them. Everybody that's doing something for show to be seen of how dedicated they are to God, they are a hypocrite. You understand? Verse 6, but thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet. And when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathens do. What is that? Again, the Muslims, those Buddhists, those, Hindus, those Christians with all of that speaking in tongues. Christ said, "Don't be like them, man. Don't pray in repetitions. Praying is not some type of a ceremony. It's not some tradition. It's not something where you go and chant. It's not. That's not you seeking the Lord. Again, the God of the Bible is not the God of Christianity. It's not the God of Islam or Buddhism or Hinduism. It's not the God of yoga and meditation. That's not the God of the Bible. Reading on Matthew 6 and 7. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things you have need of before you ask him. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Who are you praying to? You praying to the Father in heaven. Holy is your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. That's what we're asking for. We're asking for God's will to be done on earth. The same way that God's will is done up there in heaven. Verse 11, give us this day our daily bread. Christ said to ask the Lord for your daily bread. Christ didn't say ask for $1 million so you could, buy you a house. Christ didn't say ask God to break generational curses and to, give you prosperity. Christ didn't say ask God to bless you with that, $100,000 job and that 401k and that vacation home and that Mercedes Benz and that big house and that disposable income. All of these things you've been taught that you're entitled to, that you've been taught are coming to you one day, that you've been told God wants to favor you and bless you. It's not true according to the Bible. The prayer that Christ told us to pray is the prayer of the man and the woman who has faith. That if I just do what God said to do, then guess what? I'll eat today. And that's all I'm worried about. Am I going to be able to eat today? What kind of life does that person live? That's not somebody that's balling out of control. It's not somebody that's doing it big and got disposable income. That's not somebody who has everything in life figured out, and everything is going their way. To be thankful for your daily bread is the righteous way to see life. Do you got bills? Yeah, you do. Do you have enough money for vacation? Probably not. Do you have $500? You have $5,000 in emergency fund in case you lose your job or your loved one gets hurt and you're not able to go to work. You have enough money to pay your bills for the next 6 months? No, you don't. Guess what? You don't need any of that. If you trust in God, if you obey in God, because guess what? He'll make sure that you have your daily bread. We somehow have lost the understanding that life is about survival. And we have been convinced and brainwashed into believing that life owes us the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You understand? That we are entitled to the American dream and to living our best life. Where are you getting that from? You're not getting it from the God of the Bible. That is not the promise that Jesus gave to anybody. We're reading here, Christ said, give us our daily bread. That's what you should be asking of God. What else should you be asking of God? Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Some of you out there hate the shit out of somebody who did something bad to you in your life. You holding on to anger and hatred. You hate your parents. You hate your brothers and sisters. You hate your cousins. You hate your ex-boyfriend. You hate your baby daddy. You hate your baby mama. You hate, you're full of hate and anger and resentment. And you won't let it go. Well, then guess what? God can't let all the things you've done to make him upset go. You don't want to forgive those who have hurt you and despised you and used you deceitfully. Well, guess what? God can't forgive you. You have to learn to accept that there are things in life that happen that are not fair. That there are things in life that happen that you wish you could take back. That there are things in life that happen that you have to deal with the consequences of. To be mad and to be full of anger and to never forgive, you put yourself in a position of God never being able to forgive you. And if God is not able to forgive you for your debts because you won't forgive those who are indebted to you, then you constantly going to always in life be on God's bad side. And if you're on the Lord's bad side, then how can he bless you? How can he give you all the promises and the easy life that you're seeking? You'll never have an easy life. You'll never be at peace. You'll never be able to have rest. Why? Because you have not forgiven those who have trespassed against you. And because of it, God is not going to forgive you. Everybody understand? Matthew 6 and 13. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. You understand? You ask God to lead you not into temptation. Did Christ say ask that you never face temptation? Did he say that temptation would never exist? Did he say that if you obey God, temptation won't even be a reality to you? No, he said you just ask God to lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Now, you might find yourself in the midst of temptation. You might find yourself running into temptation. You're going to be mad at God. You're going to say that God is wrong. You're going to say that life ain't fair. You're going to be mad at the temptation. You're going to be mad at the thing tempting you when you slip and fall. Or you're going to pray that the Lord will deliver you from evil. Life, when you break it down to the very, very simplest terms, which Christ does in the Lord's Prayer, is life is something that you have to live one day at a time. And in that day, all you can ask for is that the Lord will give you your daily bread, that you will not be led into temptation, that you will be delivered from evil, and that you are forgiven for the wrongs that you've done, the same way you forgive those who have done wrong to you. That's life. Everything else outside of that, it's not promised. It's not guaranteed. You got a good job, you're able to pay your bills and take care of your kids, Most High in Christ. If something changes in your life to where that's not the case tomorrow, guess what? Don't be mad at God. Don't curse the Lord and say it's evil or the Lord forsaking you. That, whatever period you face yourself going through in life, it's just a part of life. And you've got to accept it. And the more that the more that we learn of the true nature of God, a lot easier life will be when things don't work out in the fairy tale manner that you imagine they would. At one point, we were all children, and we had a dream, and we had a fantasy, and we had an idea of what our life was going to be like when we got older. Then you actually got older, and you know what you learned? That life you thought you was going to have when you were a kid was a child's imagination, because that is not real life. What you thought about life when you was a kid, it's not real life. That is not how it works. All the things you were taught about life as a child, you grew up and realized, I was taught a bunch of bullshit. Excuse my language. All the stories, all the movies, all the books that you read, all the things you were taught about life, you grew up and your life is nothing like any of that shit you was told about. And you know what? One day you wake up and it hurts. And it's hard. And you say, damn, I wish somebody would have told me about real life. Right. I wish somebody would have told me about the world and how it actually is. That's what we do in the ISUPK every day. The job of the men of God is to prepare God's people for the reality of life. The reality of life is nothing is promised. You get out what you put in. Your responsibility and your duty is to obey the Lord, to do what he said to do. And in return, he'll bless you. But there's no specifications on what that blessing looks like. There's no guarantee that blessing doesn't come with pain, that blessing doesn't come with temptation, that blessing doesn't come with a trial, that it doesn't come with pain, that it doesn't come with hurting. Who are you to think that God owes you a perfect life? Who are you to think that God owes you a painless existence? Who are you to think that you deserve the easy road? Who promised you that? Who told you that? What have you done to deserve the easy road? What have you done to deserve a free pass? Everybody else got to go through life and struggle and overcome, but you just get the golden carpet rolled out for you? You better than Job. You better than Christ. You better than David. You're better than Solomon. You're better than Ruth and Esther. These people we read about in the Bible faced unimaginable horrors, unimaginable tragedies and traumatic situations. But your life should be better than theirs. Nah. That is not the truth. That is not God. That is not reality. The reality, life is hard, short and full of evil. But if you have faith and if you trust in the Lord, then you should pray and ask that he gives you your daily bread. You should pray and ask that he forgive you your debts as you forgive your debtors. You should pray and ask that he lead you not into temptation and deliver you from evil. And then from there on, accept whatever comes your way. Let's drop that. Let's go to Psalm chapter 23. Let's go to Psalm chapter 23. The God that you are being taught about in church is not the God of the Bible. That all loving and all happiness and all peace and all the good, wonderful things happening to you in life is not the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible requires you to endure hardship. The God of the Bible requires you to face temptation and overcome it. The God of the Bible requires you to go through the storm and be in pain and cry and plead unto him so that he can deliver you. The God of the Bible is of no effect if you go through life and never suffer. He loses his power. You go through life and everything wonderful happens to you, then what is the purpose of God? God is necessary because life is so hard. And where you believe that money is going to solve everything. Money is not going to solve your problems. You could have all the money in the world, and guess what? All of your problems in life are still going to be there. They'll just be there with bills paid. You suffer with a lack of motivation, you can get all the money in the world. It's not going to motivate you. You suffer from being fulfilled in life, you can have all the money in the world, and guess what? You still won't be fulfilled. Your health declining. You can have all the money in the world. Guess what? Money is not going to fix your health. Money is not going to get you on that diet. You can have all the money in the world. Pay for a fitness coach and then give you a diet. If you don't follow the diet, you ain't going to lose weight. You'll just be paying somebody to tell you what to eat, and you never lose weight. The lie of Christianity is that all you got to do is pray that God will give you some more money and everything will work out fine. That is not true. It's not what the Bible says. Christians love to quote Psalm chapter 23. It is a psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, right? Let's go down to verse 4. Here's what people don't understand and don't want to accept about all of the prayers and the songs and all the thanks of God, the testimonies of triumph that exist in the Bible. Everybody who ever triumphed in the Bible faced unimaginable, horrible conditions. Their triumph was matched by the desperateness of their situation. How can you expect to be able to champion God for blessing you and being there for you in your life, and you never have to go through the suffering, never have to go through the unimaginable horror? It's just not realistic. You understand? And some of us are living in that horror now. And all you can think of is getting money to help make it better. That is not what is going to lift you out of your condition. Obeying God and doing what he said to do is the only thing that can lift you out of that condition. And obeying God and doing what he said to do does not mean you'll be rich. We're in Psalm chapter 23. We're going to start at verse 4. Here's what David said about the blessing and the protection of God. He says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." You understand? Now, David, because he had faith, guess what? He was not afraid. David, because he had faith, he was comforted by God's rod and by God's staff. But why did David need to be comforted? Why did God need to have a rod and a staff to comfort David? Why did David need to not be afraid because God was with him? Because David was walking through the valley of the shadow of death. The valley of the shadow of death is like, if you ever seen The Lion King, the valley of the shadow of death was like the elephant graveyard that Simba was in after his dad died. That's the valley of the shadow of death, meaning what? You are in a dark place and all around you people are dying. That is life in America. That is life here in Memphis, Tennessee. It's life in Mobile, Alabama, and Birmingham, Alabama, Baltimore, Maryland, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Newark, Delaware, Los Angeles, California, Riverside, California, Inglewood, California, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana, Houston, Texas. Give me some more places. Phoenix, Arizona, Little Rock, Arkansas, Denver, Colorado, West Palm Beach, Florida, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Give me some more. New York City, New York, San Francisco, California, Oakland, California, Washington, D.C., Spokane, Washington. Where where you from? Fort Wayne, Indiana. You understand? That is the valley of the shadow of death. All around you, people dying, overdoses, getting shot, police killing them, going to jail, getting robbed, getting set up, baby mama drama, all types of horrible, niggas getting deported left and right, ICE snatching people up, making them disappear. You are walking through the valley of the shadow of death. That's life. Guess what? God can be on your side, though. You cannot be afraid of the evil. You can be comforted even though you're in the valley of the shadow of death. And what else can take place in the valley of the shadow of death? Let's keep reading. Verse 5, thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. That can happen in the valley of the shadow of death. That the Lord could prepare a table before you in the presence of your enemies. There are people that hate you and want to use you, want to take advantage of you. See that you good-spirited, good-hearted. And they want the worst for you. Guess what? If you obey God and you serve him, then guess what? You ain't got to be afraid of them. You ain't got to worry about them, the evil things that they have imagined against you. The Lord will prepare a table before you in front of them. What does the Lord prepare a table for? For you to eat good. You understand? And eating good doesn't mean you're going to be rich. Doesn't mean you're never going to have to worry about you're not going to have no problems in your life. You will eat good, though. You understand? That's all that anyone should be asking for, should be hoping for. Anything beyond that, it's not a guarantee. And because that, you shouldn't look at wealth and riches like it equals God. Satan can bless you with money too. Satan can bless you with money because it gives you more access to things that will take you away from serving God. Satan can bless you with money because it makes you focus on things other than doing what God said to do. Not everything having to do with money is a blessing. Right. So if you poor your whole life and all you think about is getting money equals being blessed, you'll get money and destroy yourself because of the access the money gives you. The only thing that we need being poor and being broken and being oppressed is the truth about God. That is what is going to help us. That is what is going to heal us. That is what is going to get us out of the condition that we are in. David in Psalms 23 was in the valley of the shadow of death. He didn't complain. He didn't cry. He didn't say, why am I in this valley? He said, no, I'm in the valley. But you know what? The Lord is with me. Right. I ain't got to worry about nothing because I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. He didn't question, why am I in the valley? You know what? Nobody in this Bible that suffers the things they suffer ever questioned why. There's one man that questioned why in the Bible, and it was Job. Job questioned, why me? Why am I suffering these things? Why I got to go through this? Why did Job question? Because Job knew he did everything he was supposed to do. Who among us can say that we can take Job's position? What have you done in life to never have to suffer anything? What have you done in life to never be tempted, to never be tested? And when your test comes, is your test the test of Job? Your struggle in life isn't, man, I was rich and had everything, then I lost it all. And now my health is failing me. My family is dead and gone. My woman who I love turned her back on me, and nobody is there for me. I'm by myself in this world. None of you can say that. Especially not if you're in the truth. You found yourself in here. Don't dare disrespect the work that these men and these women have sacrificed their lives to do by being in here and saying you alone. By being in here and saying ain't nobody in your corner. Being in here, if you in the truth and you hungry, shame on you. Because why you ain't called somebody and said, Salakia, man, my money is short. I need to put in a monetary request. If you in the truth and your bill's not being paid and you not telling nobody, shame on you. How dare you be under the watch and the protection of men of God and you don't tell somebody that your money is running short and you need help on some bills. If your electric getting cut off, your cable ain't working, shame on you for not reaching out to your camp leader and letting somebody know about your situation. How dare you embarrass us and shame us and make it look like we aren't doing our job as men of God to let people suffer and they supposed to be under our protection. Shame on you. You too goddamn proud to open your mouth and talk about your problems and your struggles and your worries. And so you shame the work of the Lord. None of us can complain about anything that God sees fit for us to go through. None of us can complain about anything that God sees fit for us to suffer. Why? Because we have not lived a perfect life to where we don't deserve anything. The fact that you don't have the struggles of Job is a blessing. You should count yourself blessed. The fact that you do have family and people who love you and care about you, you could pick up the phone and make one call and any problems you have can be addressed. Doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight, but guess what? You can get put on the path towards solving your problems, towards fixing what is plaguing you. You're not Job. So whatever you suffer in life, you should suffer it manfully. You should suffer it like a good soldier. You should endure it one day at a time, praying that the Lord will give you your daily bread. You understand? Drop that. Let me get let's go ahead to Job. Let's get Job chapter 42. If you know somebody, being in the truth, man, I'm gonna get another scripture after this, after we get Job. Being in the truth makes it so difficult dealing with people in the world. Because being in the truth, your perspective changes so much that the audacity and the pride and the entitlement of someone in the world, it can really anger you. And it can shock you that there are people who really believe that they are owed something out of life, that they are entitled to something that you ask them, who told you that you would receive that? The question doesn't even register to them. Never in a million years. There are people who never in a million years have imagined that they're not going to be rich one day. There are people that never have imagined that, in their life that they would not live the fairy tale happily ever after life. You know what I'm saying? There are people who believe that one day everything is going to be perfect and fine, and you know, all of their dreams are going to be come to reality, and all their prayers are going to be answered perfectly the way that they envision them being answered. And it's like, who told you that? Where are you getting it from that you're promised this or you deserve that? And the delusion that many of our people are under comes from them just not knowing anything about the true nature of God or the true nature of life as it is poured out, you know, over thousands of examples in this Bible. Let's go ahead and get Job chapter 42. Again, Job was a man that was perfect, that did everything the Lord said to do. And Job was tempted. And Job did suffer. And Job did question his suffering. Job did say, why me? Job did challenge the idea that nobody was above being tempted. Nobody was above suffering. Nobody was above going through difficulty in life. And in the end, when Job realized that the only way to deal with what he was facing in life was to accept God's will for him, was he able to find peace. You understand? The brother Yaquam says, Salaki, sir, they even seem as if they deserve to never go through anything at all that brings uneasiness. You absolutely right, Op. There are people who think that life, that they believe in their heart of hearts that one day life will bring no problems. Life will just be wonderful and fantastic. That day is never going to come. Even if tomorrow Christ returns and we go into the kingdom of heaven and we're living in the kingdom of heaven, don't you know niggas still gonna have to do work? Right. Still gonna be a job. The men who are rulers gonna have to rule in the kingdom of heaven. You know what ruling looks like? Ruling looks like getting up at 5 a.m. and reporting to your office or where your ruling takes place. And then guess what? You gotta talk to people and deal with people and give orders and critique records and look at who did what they were supposed to do, who didn't do what they were supposed to do. You got to give judgment and pass rulings and give out punishments and promote people to higher positions. All of that is work, my nigga. Guess what? While you're working, you're not at home with your family. Some of you brothers think in the kingdom of heaven, you're going to have 10 wives, right? Okay, you got 10 wives. There's 24 hours in a day, my nigga. You're not going to have sex with all 10 of them women in that day. And you got to go to work, and you got to rule, and you're going to be a father, and you're going to have kids. What do you think life is going to be? Magic? Who going to raise your kids if you got 10 wives, and you got to rule, and you got 24 hours in a day, bro? While you're not having sex with all 10 wives every day, how are they going to feel while they not having sex with you? They don't get to see you. Oh, you women out there, you think that there are women right now who believe that God has a man that is reserved for them and only them. And that man is going to come in their life and going to love them, and he'll never love another woman. Guess what? That woman, she has children. This man who's going to want her and only her is also going to desire to be the father of her children and going to raise her children and be there, and they're going to live a wonderful, happily ever after life. You know that woman who believes that? Her mother and her father were not together when she was growing up. Her sister does not have a man, and she has 2 children by 2 different men. Her brother is a womanizer. He's not married, settled down. He just has a bunch of chicks. The woman who thinks that one man is going to present himself into her life and love her and only her and never be with no other woman, she does not know any man like that on the planet that exists. None of the men in her life, none of the men in the women's lives that she knows is that man. But somehow, some way, that man is out there somewhere, and God is going to bring him to her. And if God does not bring that man to her, if that man does not exist, if that man is a figment of her imagination, you know what she says? I'll just be single the rest of my life. But you know what that woman does not say? She doesn't say, I just won't ever have sex again. I just won't ever date. I just won't ever be interested in a man. No, she says, I'll just be single. Which means what? There's no man that is good enough for me to commit to being in a relationship with, because all these men want to have other women. So I'll just be the woman that has sex with men, but no strings attached, no commitment, no relationship, because no man wants to have me and only me. That is delusion. That is insanity. That is craziness. There's a brother out there. He has a woman. Been with this woman and she loves him. She's down with him and she cooks for him and cleans, and she's a good woman. She might have gained a little bit of weight. You know, she don't dress the same way she did when they first got together. She maybe had a couple kids, you know what I'm saying? She don't really take care of herself like she used to do. She don't do all the fun, freaky things that she did when they first got together. And that brother says to himself, man, I wish I had another woman. He doesn't like the woman he got because sometimes she nags about the bills being paid late, about him helping around the house, about him doing more to, help her with the kids. And all these things this man doesn't like about this woman. He thinks to himself, man, if only God would bless me with another woman. He's on the internet dating, swiping right on profiles. He going out, hanging out, talking to women and meeting women. He's on Facebook in the DMs saying shalom to sisters. And all he can think is, man, things would be so much better if I just had me another woman. You know what that man does not say to himself? He never says to himself, the problems I'm having with this one woman are going to be double once I get another wife. If I can't manage keeping this one woman happy, if I can't manage being satisfied with this one woman, if I can't manage getting my life in order and being a father to my children and a husband to my woman and a priest to the people of God and doing my job and my duties and my responsibility, handling the slavery and the little bit of money I got to manage my bills, and if you can't do that with one woman, somehow in your mind, having two women is going to be easier. Because God said a man can have more than one woman. Brother, you are playing yourself. You are out of your mind. Yes, God said a man can have more than one woman. Are you entitled to that, though? Have you earned that? Have you deserved it? What accomplishments do you have on display to say, yeah, I could be a man of two women, of three women? I could love them and lead them and talk to them and guide them and make sure that they have everything they need. And I could work my slavery and pay my bills. And I could be a father to my children. And I could fulfill my duties and responsibilities as a priest of God. Yeah, I can do all those things at the same time. Nigga, do you know how much work that is? Do you know how much stress that is? How much trouble that is? There's no days off. You can't call out from being a husband. You can't call out from being a father. You can't be too tired to be a priest of the Lord. But God said man can have more than one woman. So you run it up. You are delusional. You are out of your mind. You're not entitled to it. It's not a promise. That's why you never have it. That's why it doesn't work out for you. Now, if it does work out for you, most high in Christ, if you are deserving of it, then you will have it. If you are capable of maintaining it, the Lord will give it to you. But it doesn't mean it'll be a free ride, that it won't come with pain and heartache and frustrations and anger. Having one woman is challenging to your manhood. Why? Because if you got a good woman, she's going to require you to be better. If you have a good woman, the man you are today is not going to be good enough 2 years from now. Why? Because in those 2 years, she's going to grow closer to you and learn more about you. And she's going to see that you can be more, that you can do better. And guess what? You're going to have to give her more. You're going to have to do better. And if you don't, she's going to challenge you. The challenge ain't going to be, oh, nigga, it's not going to be a nag. It's not going to be an argument. It's not going to be a fight, but it's going to be a disappointment, a letdown that she has. And you're going to feel it. You're going to see it. You're going to know this woman sees me and knows that I should be better. And you're going to feel it inside yourself. I should be better. I should be doing more. The Lord has blessed me and given me this opportunity and given me this and that. And I should be better for myself and for this woman and for our children. Brother, if you don't put in the work to be better, then you're going to be miserable. And it's going to be, life is going to be hard. And you're going to be in a dark place. And you know how you get out of that? The Lord, trusting in the Most High, asking Him to give you your daily bread, praying that He would forgive you your debts as you forgive your debtors, praying that He would lead you not into temptation, but deliver you from evil. That is the reality of life. Everything in life is it's constant work. It's no days off. It's no resting. It's no easy periods. You got to be fighting and pushing and grinding. And if you ever think that there's going to come a day where that's never going to be the case, you are not living in the real world. You're not living in reality. Everybody understands? Job, in his questioning of God, when he got to the point where he realized the truth about life, Job was able to accept what God showed him. Let's get Job chapter 42, verse 2. You understand? We'll start at Job 42 and 1. It says, Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou can do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. God knows everything, and there's no thought that you can withhold from God. You think the Lord don't know what you're going through? You think He don't know your suffering? You think He doesn't know your hardship? The Lord knows everything. The fact that you have the hardship, the fact that you have the struggle should give you peace in knowing the Lord is still with me. The Lord sees what's happening. He knows what I'm dealing with. If I stand with Him, then guess what? It's all going to work out. But knowing it's going to work out doesn't make it any easier while you're in the present moment of going through what you're going through. Everybody understands? Verse 3, who is he that hides counsel without knowledge? Who hides counsel without knowledge? What does that mean? To hide counsel without knowledge, meaning what? You can't have a plan or a thought and an idea about something with no one knowing about it. You ever heard the term man plans and God laughs? That's this. You got a plan. You think it's without knowledge? You think God don't know what your plan is? You think God don't know what you're trying to do? He knows. Everybody understand? Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Nobody. Nobody can hide counsel without knowledge, right? Therefore have I uttered that I understood not. Job acknowledged, man, I said things that I didn't understand how wrong I was in saying them. I uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful for me, which I knew that. Job realized, man, I said things, I imagined things that were too wonderful for me. I questioned above my pay grade. I questioned above my level of understanding, right? Verse 4, Hear, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee and declare thou unto me. This is Job saying, these are the things that he uttered. When he spoke to the angel, when he spoke to the Lord, these are the things Job said. Hear, I beseech thee, meaning please hear me, and I will speak. I will demand of thee and declare thou unto me. I'm demanding something, and I'm praying you give an answer. Verse 5, I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see of thee. Job said, I heard about God. I heard about the temptation and the tragedy and the suffering and the deliverance of God and the salvation. He said, I heard of it, but now after everything I've been through, now I see. For some of you, you've only heard of the goodness of God. You've only heard of God's deliverance and of God's salvation and of God's, long suffering. But you haven't seen it. You haven't experienced it. You can only see God when he delivers you from the hell that you find yourself in. If you never find yourself in that hell or accept that you're in hell, if you never deal with the reality of the hell that you are in, then how can you ever see God in the midst of it? You go through life believing that you are entitled to some success or some, lifestyle or, something is owed to you, then you'll go through life full of anger and resentment that you don't have what you believe you deserve. That is not the way to go through life. The way to go through life is to be thankful for what you have, to be appreciative of what God has given you, to be appreciative of having and being able to endure and suffer and go through the things you've gone through. If you're constantly looking at life based on what you don't have, as opposed to being thankful for what you do have, then you'll never be able to receive God. Because rather than being thankful for the small blessings, you'll ignore that and say, God ain't real because he ain't giving me what I asked for. And if you think about your life and people who you know, there are some people who absolutely live their life angry at the world because of what they don't have, rather than being thankful to God for what they do. Everybody understands? The only way to truly see God is to be thankful for the things that you have, not to be angry and mad about the things that you don't. Christians who believe in prosperity are always angry about the things they don't have, which is why they constantly want more. There is no blessing that is a blessing enough. There is no amount of money that is money enough. There is no level of living that is good enough because they always want more. They deserve better. They got one house, they deserve two. They got two houses, they deserve four. They got enough money for one vacation, they should have enough money for three. That is the consumptuous lifestyle of someone who doesn't recognize the blessing of God. The blessings they have are not enough, which is why they got to go and get more. Job said he heard of God, but now he sees him in the midst of everything having been taken away from him. In the midst of losing everything, losing his health, but still having his life, Job was able to see the Lord is with me. The Lord is real because I've suffered all these things, and guess what? I still have my life. Job chapter 42, verse 6. Wherefore I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes. Job said, man, I realized how wrong I was for questioning the Lord. And in the midst of all of my suffering, I heard about God before this. I thought I had faith. I thought I believed in the Lord. But now after going through all of this, man, I see God. I see his power. I see his authority. And I see that whatever he sees fit for me to have to endure, then God is righteous. Because in everything I've suffered, God has never left my side. Job said, I abhor myself because I questioned God. I abhor myself because I doubted God. I abhor myself because I thought I was above any suffering. And I repent in ashes, meaning I repent in sadness because of the audacity and the pride I had to question God. And it was this statement, this realization that Job had that made the Lord restore everything that Job had lost. Job overcame his test in the day that he acknowledged, I was wrong for questioning God, man. I should have never opened my mouth and said, why me? Rather, I should have accepted that the Lord's will be done in my life and be thankful that I still had my life. We cannot be any different. We cannot go through life expecting for everything to always go our way, for everything to always be peaceful and wonderful, and for us to always be happy. That is just not reality. It's just not how life works. Man, woman, child, whatever tribe you're from, wherever you're living, there is no promise from God that life is going to be easy. You understand? Let's drop that. Let me get hold on. Let's get hold on. Bear with me, hold on. Give me bear with me. Hold on. Let's go. That's what it is. Give me Job chapter 14, verse 1. Let's get Job chapter 14, verse 1. Job chapter 14, verse 1 reads, Man that is born of a woman is a few days and full of trouble. That's what the Bible says about life. Who is man that is born of a woman? Every single one of us on the planet Earth. Man that is born of a woman is of a few days and full of trouble. You only live, life is short, and your life is full of trouble. You understand? Here one day, you're gone the next, and in between is just trouble. That's it. The Bible doesn't say life was going to be easy, life was going to be good, life was going to be fair, everything is going to work out in your favor. Nah. The Bible says exactly the opposite. And understanding this and knowing this, what should you do? You should pray and ask the Lord to give you your daily bread, to forgive you for your debts as you forgive your debtors, to be with you and comfort you as you walk through the valley of the shadow of death. So, like you said, you was gonna say something?
Nah, Salaki Cap, this just the side. Can this be a cut to women who be like, yeah, we create life or we give life. Men don't do nothing. Can this be a cut to them who say that?
Absolutely. Okay, it could be a
That's
cut.
all I was just.
No, yeah, it could be a cut to them because, okay, life is amazing.
Right.
Hell, we're alive.
Yeah.
It's amazing, right?
Right.
But that's it. That's amazing about it. Is that you're alive.
Yeah.
Everything else in life is hard. No, none of us are living the life that we want. We're living the life that we have to live. You go to that job, you don't want that fucking job. Excuse my language. You hate that job. It's so much of a hassle and a headache. It's so many hours out of the day. It takes you away from the things you want to do, but you have to do it. Why? Because you have bills that have to be paid. You got rent and you got electricity and you got stuff you want to do. None of that gets accomplished if you don't work. That's everybody on the earth, on the planet. Now, okay, when I say everybody on the earth, I'm speaking of God's people. I don't know what the life of a heathen is like. I don't know what their life is. I don't know how fulfilled they are. I'm talking about for God's people. Our lives, all of them are hard. We are enduring hardships and suffering things. And guess what? The most rich and prosperous among us, they have worked the hardest. Meaning, they have done unimaginable things that you would never do to get where they are. They've had to suck stuff and bend over and hide secrets and lie about things and do shadowy stuff in the dark that you would have never been willing to do. You could never live a day in the shoes of somebody who is black and rich, black and wealthy. They have done you know how many people they've had to cross, how many poor people they've had to step over to go through life rich. I'm talking about millions of dollars in your bank. And you go to the corner and see a wino asking for $2 and you say, nah, man, I ain't got it. Do you know what kind of the world you have to live in your mind for you to be okay with that? That is a dark place. That person is someone who is not they've done so much in their life to get where they are that poor nigga at the gas station asking for $1 is a waste of space, a waste of life. I could never be that nigga because I suck penis to be where I'm at. Or I ratted on my partner to be where I'm at. Or there's rich people in this society. To be rich in this white man society, to be up there and rub elbows in our oppressive society, you have to be living an evil life, a horrible life. Because there's things you have to do and that you have to suffer in order to be accepted by those people who are the people who you rub elbows with. To be accepted by them, you got to be one of them. So in order to be one of them, you have to be as cruel and evil and wicked as they are. And to be as cruel and evil and wicked as they are, you have to partake in the things that they partake in. I'm not saying everybody that's rich is, this ain't no Illuminati thing. I'm not saying they all evil and they drinking children's blood and they, taking oaths to serve Satan. No, but they are in Black Greek fraternities. You understand? They do go to church every Sunday. They do, participate in they do hang out with their buddies from work outside of work. They do cut backroom deals and they learn how to deal in the oppressor's business thinking way of life. And it is a dog eat dog world that they live in. And it is cruelty and you got to be cutthroat. And it's just business. It's not personal. You look at people, look at anybody that's black and super famous. There's some people in their life that they've crossed. There's some people who they had to leave behind in the dust. There's some people who they had to grow to be better than so that they wouldn't hold them back anymore. You know who doesn't have that story or can't relate to that? Somebody who's in the truth. There's brothers and sisters that are in the truth and they're rich, and guess what they never did? Turn their back on the truth. They didn't turn their back on the Lord to get where they are. They didn't turn their back on the Lord to be able to have the wealth and the success that they've experienced. Guess what? There's brothers and sisters in the truth that are poor, living check to check, barely getting by, having just enough to get their daily bread. And guess what? They aren't turning their back on the Lord. They aren't forsaking life for a better opportunity. No, they're standing with the Lord and they're enduring and they're getting what they deserve. To be someone who is rich and wealthy and doesn't have a care in the world, the pain and the heartache and the hardship that they have to endure, it's not fit for us. You understand what I'm saying? That's why the rich basketball player who makes generational money to set his family up for success, his son is a homosexual. His daughter is a whore. His wife is cheating on him. He's having an affair with men behind closed doors, and their life is absolutely miserable. But you know what? They rich though. They got that money. There's no there is no easy way. There is no golden ticket. There is no free ride in life. And there is no promise that life is not going to be hard. That is a lie that has been taught to us by religion, by Christianity, by the pastors who peddle the delusion and the lies of our oppressor. You understand? Let's drop Job chapter 14, verse 1. Let me get 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7. No, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 6. Well, no, Timothy chapter 6, verse 7. We brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. Now, that's a statement in and of itself. You in your life miserable because of the things that you don't have, not accepting or realizing that you came in this world with nothing. Life is very temporary, man. And whatever your condition is that you are in right now, it is a very temporary condition. You up top, you up right now. You winning and got everything, and life is wonderful and amazing, and there's no drama, there's no turmoil, there's no suffering, there's no pain. Guess what? That is temporary. You at your lowest point in life right now. You broke, you don't know how you're gonna pay your bills. Your woman is mad at you. You and your husband beefing. You don't have anybody to comfort you or to love you or to tell you it's going to be all right. Man, it's so miserable and your back is against the wall. Guess what? That is temporary. That's going to pass very, very soon. What you should remember is you came in this world with nothing. You know what else you should remember? Let's keep reading. 1 Timothy 6 and 7. And it is certain we can carry nothing out. So you come in this world with nothing, and when you die, you take nothing with you. Verse 8. And having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Then guess what? You know what should be enough for you? Having food and clothes. As long as you're not bucket naked, as long as you have your daily bread, what are you complaining about? What are you so sad for? What are you so disappointed about in life? For remember, Abraham was 99 when the Lord said, follow me and be perfect. Walk before me and be perfect. What are you, 21 and you didn't get to go to college and you got a baby and things ain't working out with your baby mama and what, life is over now? She gonna put you on child support and know what? Your life is not over. Stop whining and crying and being so sad and woe is me. How about you get on your job and be about the business of doing what God said to do so your condition can change? Because you came in this world with nothing. If you got food and clothes right now, then guess what? You're doing a lot better than you did when you came into this world. And you're doing a lot better than where you'll be when you leave this world. Everybody understand? Verse 9, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, a trap. They that will be rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. Those people who sit around worrying about how much money they don't have, worrying about all the things that they can't do, worrying about all the places that they can't go, they fall into many hurtful and diverse lusts. You want to know how a woman becomes a whore on a stripper pole, or selling vagina on the internet, or selling vagina on the streets? I live in Memphis, Tennessee. It's certain streets you ride down, you see prostitutes out in the summer heat. It's baking right now. There's a place I can go and watch women with their full butt cheeks out, getting in and out of cars, doing sexual favors to strange men, and you say to yourself, how did they get there? For the love of for the because they want to be rich. They don't want to work that 9 to 5 job. That's too hard to get, living check to check. To work a warehouse job and get paid once a week. Nah, I'm getting that fast money. I'm getting that good money. I want to live like the bitches on the videos. I want to buy me a bag and do this and do that. That's why they sell them vagina, because they fall into many diverse and hurtful lusts. You understand? There's a man that he wants to be a pimp. He a pimp. He the reason why them women out there selling vagina. He in their ear telling them, yeah, baby, just stick with me. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And you say to yourself, how did this man become so low down that he lives his life day by day, lying and abusing and gaming women up to get them to sell their body so that he can have a little bit of money to do what? Ride on some rims, or live out of a hotel, or go city to city to events so that he could, make some money to eat steak and go to the club, because he wants to be rich. He's fallen into many diverse and hurtful lusts. You understand? There's a brother that's selling drugs. He out there, he's taking a drive, 5 hours away, meeting someone down by the border, and he's taking $20,000 and he's buying a key of raw powder cocaine. And he's deathly afraid of getting caught, because he get caught, he's going to jail forever. And he rides that car back, scared the whole time, anxious every time a car get behind him. He gets back home, and then he got to take that cocaine and cut it up and cook it and turn it into crack, and he chopping it up, and he's trying to find somebody to buy it. And he's doing all of this while he's trying to take that 20,000 and turn it into 70,000. But think of all of the trouble and all of the hardship and all of the anxiety and all of the evil that he has to suffer in order to just try to get that 20,000 to turn into 70,000. Because he wants to be rich, he's fallen into temptation and a trap and many foolish and hurtful lusts. There is a way of life that is going to cause you to suffer. And it is the way of life of not being thankful of what you have, not being appreciative of what God has given you, but rather looking beyond that and chasing after what you feel you deserve, chasing after what you feel you are entitled to or what you are owed. And the Bible says you will fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. You understand? Verse 10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. The Bible doesn't say money is the root of all evil. There's nothing wrong with having money. Nothing wrong with being a high earner. There are skills and abilities that you can acquire that will get you some money. I was young. God blessed me to get into an apprenticeship and become an electrician. At any time in my life, even right now, with the one eye, if I needed to, I could go be an electrician. And I could make enough money to take care of my family. I could make enough money to be able to feed my daughter and put clothes on my back. And I would be content with that. You understand? Nobody could say, oh, look at him. He paying all his bill. He living a good life. He must be evil. No. There's nothing wrong with money. But it is the love of money. It is the desire of money. It is the need of more money than what you need. It's a want of more money than what you need that causes you to do things that go against God to get it. And when you love money more than you love the Lord, then you will do whatever you have to do to get the money, and you won't do what you have to do to get God. Everybody understand? For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, They have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. I've known men in the truth who left the truth to get money. I never, man, so many brothers that I knew who the Lord was with. They was in the truth. Had conversations about some business or some career path or some desire that they was chasing to be successful. But man, I can't do this and be in the truth. It'll hurt my business relationships. It'll hurt my ability to be able to get money. It'll hurt my ability to conduct business if I reveal that I'm in the truth and I serve the Lord and I'm in the ISUPK. And I never understood why you had to leave the truth to work this job. You can't be priest and officer so and so and be your slave name on your job. How does what you do serving the Lord affect your job as a consultant for this law firm? Why can't you do both? The oppressor gets to be Jewish and work at his job. What is him to be Jewish mean? It comes with a lot of biases and a lot of views towards other people that are absolutely damaging. How can you be a lawyer and Jewish and lawyer for black people? That's a conflict of interest. Guess what? Somehow they're able to do it. You see, they able to do it, but you in your mind can't, I can't be an Israelite and work this government job. Nigga, why not? What about the government says you can't believe in God? You're just looking for a reason not to serve the Lord. You're looking for a reason to choose money over the Lord. Here's what these brothers and sisters know. They know they can't do both. They know they cannot work this corporate job in this evil world, doing deals and passing, doing deals and advancing a program that goes against the well-being of the poor and the needy. You understand? In order for them to be able to have wealth, so they sacrifice. They sacrifice their love of God in order to go get this money, man. In order to have that job, in order to be have a peace of mind that they'll never have to lose their money because of their belief. They'll just trade in their belief. I've known cats who was in the truth, and because of identifying as brother so and so in the ISUPK, he felt like his business wasn't thriving, and so a deal came up. The deal was on the table for him to make $150,000 or something like that. He was getting some kind of contract, and he said in order for him to get this contract, he was going to have to leave the school. And that brother left the school, and he got that contract, and he got that money. And he got him a wife and kids, and he's living a wonderful, good life in the world. I still see the brother on Facebook from time to time. But I know that inside of himself, he had to be okay with putting the love of money above his love of God. And that is just something that I was never willing to do. I would have rather been broken poor my whole life and obeyed God than to have turned my back on the truth so that I could live a good, wonderful, delicious life. And I think about brothers like him now with everything going on in the world. How does he feel knowing that the world that he traded in God for is being destroyed now? It's falling apart. It's society, the government, everything that's happening right now. You need God more now than at any other time ever in the history of humanity. If you don't know God, then what do you put your trust in? What do you hang your hat on? If you're somebody that's been chasing the American dream, you look out now at the landscape and you look at the economy and the tariffs and the trade wars and the falling value of the dollar. How do you have peace and sleep good knowing this place is falling apart? You have to believe that it's not falling apart. You have to believe that everything is going to be all right. and everything is going to work out. And I live the American dream, and I'm a God-fearing American, and I'm a citizen, and I got my papers and the 14th Amendment. Like, you got to believe in the lie of America if you don't believe in the truth of God. And religion is designed to teach you that the lie of America is something you can put your hopes and your trust in. God is showing us every day that that lie is not is that the reality of our lives is that we believe a lie. And God is doing it because he wants you to turn to him and accept the truth about life and the truth about this world and the reality about who you are and the reality about your life. The reality is that life is not easy. Nothing is promised to us. The only promise is that God said that if we obeyed him and kept his commandments, that he would be our people. I mean, that we would be his people. And that he would watch over us and protect us and he would multiply us. But God did not promise that we would never have a bad day. God did not promise that everything in life was always going to be all right. God did not promise that we would not face temptations and face hardships or face oppression. And so now in the midst of it, we should not be complaining about what it is that we're going through. Everybody understands? It's Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 18. And understanding this makes it so that when you encounter people in the world, you can have compassion on them. Because being somebody who knows the truth and knows the Lord, talking to somebody in the world who is having their expectations shattered by the reality of life can make it hard for you to pity them, hard for you to feel bad for them. There's so many people that I've talked to and I encounter, and they have an expectation out of life that is so set in a lie and a delusion that to argue with them and fight with them over the truth is just too much. I got too much going on in my life to argue and fight with you over why none of this shit that you think you deserve is ever gonna come your way. God didn't put us here to shatter everybody's, dream of their life. When you encounter somebody who has an expectation out of life that you know isn't realistic, you ain't gotta argue with them, you ain't gotta fight with them, you ain't gotta tell them. You'll never get that. There's a lot of women I talk to and I meet, and they say they want a man to be only with them and them alone, and they man gonna come in their life and take care of them and they 3 children and raise their 3 children and be their father, and he ain't never gonna have eyes for another woman, and he ain't never gonna be with anybody but them. I don't even argue with that sister and say that nigga does not exist, bitch. You never gonna get him in life. I just say, okay, Most High Christ. Well, I pray the Lord delivers that man, and then I disappear from that woman's life and never talk to her again. There's brothers who believe that they're gonna be a millionaire one day and they're gonna make it big rapping or making beats or working at McDonald's. They're gonna be the manager one day and they're gonna start their own company and have their own business and they're gonna make $1 million. I don't say you don't have the work ethic. You don't even have the drive or the focus or the discipline to do any of that shit. I just say, okay, Most High Christ. Well, Lord be with you, man. You gotta make a plan and Lord, maybe it'll happen. But for every one of those people that I encounter, there is a sadness and a grief that I have to suffer in my chest because, Lord, please, when they find out the reality of life and what their real expectations should be, I just pray that you're with them so that they don't crash out. You understand? Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 18 says, "For in much wisdom is much grief, and he that increases knowledge increases sorrow." You understand? In much wisdom is much grief. Why? Because the more that I learn about life and the more that I learn about what it takes to make it in this world, the more I realize that a lot of our people aren't going to make it. A lot of our people will never turn to God and never obey God because the God of the Bible is not the God that they were taught about in Christianity. And when they hear the truth about God, they reject it. Because hell no, there's no way I'm going to live a life where prosperity isn't promised to me. There's no way I'm going to live a life and believe in a God that doesn't do everything that I ask him to do when I ask him to do it, because that's the God that I was taught about in Christianity. And I feel sorry for those people, because the more wisdom I gain, the more I realize that so many of our people will never accept God. You understand? As I increase in knowledge, the more I learn, the more I experience in life, the more I go through my own struggles and my own difficulties, keeping it together and managing my life. I think of all the people who live in that la-la land of everything is going to be all right and everything is going to work out, and one day I'm going to have everything that I asked for. And I say, man, I thank the Lord that he delivered me from that lie when he did. Because I could not imagine at my age, I'm 38 years old, I could not imagine being this age and over the last 15 years thinking that I'm going to be rich one day. And I'm going to have all the money. Like, I've gotten by these last 15 years thanking the Lord for my daily bread, praying for my daily bread. I've gotten by these last 15 years asking the Lord to forgive me as I forgive me for my trespasses as I forgive those that have trespassed against me. I've gotten by the last 15 years praying the Lord will lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil. And when you live your life that way, whatever you receive, good or bad, you'll be able to manage it because you know and trust that the Lord is with me. The reality of my life is I'm in the shadow of the valley of the shadow of death. But you know what? I don't fear the evil because the Lord is with me. There are some people who don't want to realize they're in the valley of the shadow of death. There's some people that don't realize that they are in a world full of evil. There are some people that don't realize that they are living in a life and living in a world where none of the shit that they are praying for is going to come their way, because none of that shit they're praying for is promised to them. Excuse my language. And when the reality sets in for them that everything they've believed is a lie, everything they've prayed for is never going to come their way, everything that they think they're entitled to or they deserve is never going to manifest itself, that is going to be a hard day for a lot of people. And I pray that on that day, the Lord be with them. For those of us who know the Lord and who know the truth, accept that nothing is promised to you, except that if you obey the Lord and serve him, that he would be our God and we would be his people, and he would multiply us and he would protect us and watch over us. That is a very broad promise. And it doesn't dwindle down to every day of your life being a good day, to everything in your life working out the way that you expect it to, and you being entitled to receiving all of the things that you desire in your heart. The reality is that man who was born of woman is of a few days and full of trouble. And as Christ taught us, we should pray that the Lord will give us our daily bread. And with that, you should be content. And with that, we're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Since 1969, we have been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2025, there is nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. With that being said, you brothers and sisters have family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas. Get them in contact with the ISUPK. You understand? We got a school here in Memphis at 3000 Walnut Grove Road. Again, 3000 Walnut Grove Road. If you go on Google, ISUPK Memphis, there's a number you can call to get counsel, to get help, to get assistance with anything you may be struggling with in life. And with that, I'll see y'all for class tomorrow. Israel Shalom.